Hi, this is Rick, K6VVA, the Locust, a co-founding member of the Northern California Contest Club. I'm here with a look at the new K6VVA Anti-Pirate and K6VVA Co-Pilot Expedition Solutions, two new items in the continued planning and preparation for a CW-only expedition to P5.
When I released the big picture of expedition operating and the direct relationship to antisocial pilot behavior video about 18 months ago, I thought the DX community had already hit rock bottom in terms of negative pilot operating behaviors. Unfortunately, in 2014, things went from bad to worse. It was as if the DX code of conduct vanished into a black hole in the earth, to then be consumed by the burning fires of hell. Chronic out-of-turn calling in pileups was off the charts. The increased use of profanity, both on-air and in cluster posts, brought further disgrace and shame to amateur radio, the hobby once known for international goodwill and friendship. Pileup observers could hear humans acting like animals, along with a new tidal wave of music and siren sounds DQRM on the expedition operator frequencies. Most pileups in 2014, especially during the major expeditions, turned into what is best described as cesspools of behavior from hell. 2014 also brought forth a new wave of pirates, those psycho bottom feeders who get their kicks creating chaos and confusion, leading to unnecessary increased repeat calling in the pileups out of a fear of not ending up in the logs of the real expeditions. Pirates have long been anticipated as being a major issue for any expedition to P5. That's why I gave a lot of serious analytical thought in search of a solution to the problem of P5 pirates. The solution finally materialized to provide a 100% guaranteed way for a pileup caller to know in real time if they are working the legitimate P5 station or a pirate. So it's bye-bye to the fear of working pirates, because we can now sync the pirate ship with the K6VVA Anti-Pirate Expedition Solution. It's like having an anti-pirate insurance protection plan. In just a few moments, I'll demonstrate exactly how it works. But first, a brief recap of the P5 expedition goals and objectives which led to formulating the K6VVA Anti-Pirate Solution. First, it will be a CW-only expedition and not leaderboard mania entertainment. One QSO only per caller will be allowed. No multi-band QSOs in order to give everyone a chance to make one P5 CW QSO needed for DXCC, especially the little pistol station operators. And since the logging software is already configured to not accept dupes, the goal to log 100% uniques is guaranteed, regardless of total QSOs. The K6VVA Anti-Pirate Expedition Solution. Here's how it works. Contester DXers will know it as a creative prefill. Serious DXers needing a P5 CW QSO simply advance register for two unique ID numbers. These are similar to a user ID and password for web login to a secure website. These will provide on-air authentication for 100% real-time QSO validation that the legitimate P5 expedition station is being worked and not a pirate. So instead of swapping the usual 5NN, the on-air exchanges will be like an RST and zone number in the CQ Worldwide CWDX contest, or an RST plus power or section in the ARRL CWDX contest. It is like a dual protection anti-pirate insurance policy and free to all DXers who follow the DX code of conduct. P5/K6VVA is a pretty long call sign. Since the intended expedition to P5 is for CW only, the time has come to shorten things, like to P5CW, which will be the requested call sign to use. I kind of like it. Yes, this is indeed appropriate considering the expedition goals and objectives. As I've stated before, someone else may get to P5 first. And considering recent developments in the news, to many this may seem like even more of an impossibility to obtain the higher level approval needed from P5 authorities for this particular expedition. So will it ever happen? Only God knows. Advanced registration for the K6VVA Anti-Pirate Expedition Solution and P5CW or P5/K6VVA Expedition use takes less than 1 minute to fill out a short online web form. There are two submission types of registration as illustrated in the screen capture section of the web page form. The first is registration only for the 2 random-generated unique ID numbers, which in just a few moments you will see exactly how they are used in actual operation. The second option is registration for the unique ID numbers and the opportunity to make an advance pledge for the associated humanitarian purposes part of the P5 expedition. In my previous P5/K6VVA survey conducted for expressions of interest in this matter, a critical element in obtaining P5 expedition approval, I'm hoping these expressions of interest will be reconfirmed now in the form of advance pledges, along with new advance pledges from those who did not participate before. This is not a solicitation to make upfront advance donations. It is only a pledge to make a donation if you QSO this P5 expedition and seek DXCC credit. All future pledge donations from individuals must go only to an NGO organization specifically for P5 humanitarian-related purposes, with strict monitoring involved. A full accounting will be made public for review. None of these donations are for expedition expenses. Do not send any donations directly to K6VVA. I'll repeat this again. Do not send any donations directly to K6VVA. Do not send any QSL cards directly to K6VVA. QRX for details to be provided after the expedition. Looking at the web form registration section for only the 2 special unique ID numbers, the requested information is minimal. If selecting both the registration and advance pledge option, first complete the registration section and then the advance pledge section. I will repeat some very important information. Do not send any donations to K6VVA. Do not send QSLs to K6VVA. QRX for details after the expedition. Regarding the Submit button on the web form, if many registrations are being done at the same time, the server could be a little slow. Click only one time on the Submit button and please QRX for the next page to appear. Using my Bahamas call sign C6AVA in a sample registration, a validation URL is then sent to the email address submitted on the web form. This may take several minutes for delivery depending on internet traffic. You must click on the URL link in the email to finalize the registration process. Please check any spam filter mailbox if you do not see the email in a reasonable period of time. Next is a screen capture of the email and registration validation URL for the sample C6AVA registration. Certain portions of the data have been redacted only for this video to eliminate any malicious use. Clicking on the validation URL text link will finally produce a P5CW registration confirmation webpage. In this example, indicating anti-pirate registration for C6AVA confirmed, and good for either P5CW or P5/K6VVA as a P5 expedition call sign. Unique ID number 1. 385QW is the QSO exchange to be sent by P5CW to C6AVA. Unique ID number 2, 7YR2C, is the QSO exchange which must be sent by C6AVA to P5CW in order to authenticate both stations on the air and to validate the QSO in order to be logged. It's really no different than sending and receiving exchanges in the major CWDX contests. What is important is to print out the web page or write down the 2 unique ID numbers and be sure to keep both of these unique ID numbers in a safe place. In this sample registration, we see that C6AVA also made an advance pledge in the amount of $20 for P5 humanitarian purposes. Every advance pledge amount from $5 on up will help. Some DXers might consider tattooing the 2 unique ID numbers onto the palm of their hand. No, I do not recommend this. Ouch! Now for an actual demonstration of the K6VVA anti-pirate expedition solution using the TR for Windows logger. Starting on 20 meters, the example registered call sign C6AVA is entered into the call sign field. When the Enter button is pressed, unique ID number 1, in this case 385QW, is automatically pre-filled into the exchange field and sent out over the air to C6AVA, who immediately knows that P5CW is the real expedition station and not a pirate. Unique ID number 2, in this case 7YR2C, also displays on the TR for Windows logger screen just below the exchange field. C6VVA must send 7YR2C back to the P5CW operator, either myself or a team member, in order to complete the QSO as valid. This is no different than a DX contest exchange in number of characters, and also protects C6VVA or any registered caller against unauthorized malicious piracy of their call sign. This is a critical factor since only one QSO, regardless of band, can ever be logged. So it is like a dual protection anti-pirate insurance policy. In the event a P5 ham criminal pirate sends out counterfeit random unique ID numbers, if you are a registered caller and an exchange number sent is not the one you received on the P5CW registration confirmation webpage, you will know immediately that it's a pirate and not the legitimate P5CW expedition. So let's watch this work. C6VVA is entered into the call sign field and the enter button pressed. .385QW was sent to C6VVA, who must reply with 7YR2C in order to authenticate the QSO as valid. If this two-way exchange is completed, pressing the enter button again logs the QSO. As we see, C6VVA has been successfully logged and automatically backed up to include unique ID number 1 being included in the name field. How cool is that? It's really cool. Now let's watch this again in action and mentally visualize C6VVA replying with the required unique ID number 2. Bada bing, bada boom, and C6VVA immediately knows with 100% certainty that the real P5CW was worked. As I said before, bye-bye to the fears of working a P5 pirate, because we can now sync the pirate ship with the K6VVA anti-pirate expedition solution. Regarding the only one QSO, regardless of band restriction, we now QSY to 15 meters with an example how the logger has been configured to work. Remember, C6VVA is already in the log for the QSO on 20 meters. If C6VVA were to call again on 15 meters, and C6VVA entered into the call sign field, a red QSO before message appears, along with a second red flag notification. At this point, one of two decisions will be made. To either ignore C6VVA and turn the receiver dial to find a virgin pileup caller, or push the enter button, which will send this. There is only one QSO allowed, regardless of band. This is non-negotiable, and the logger won't accept dupes. That's the way it will work. Now another example using advanced registered caller KL8C. Unique ID number 1 is sent, but there is either no reply or no unique ID number 2 returned from KL8C. So a second attempt is made. Still no joy. So a QRS third attempt is made along with KN. KN means only KL8C call. As a reminder, KN means no other callers. At least 5 attempts will always be made to complete a QSO before this message gets sent. Here is how things will work with a non-registered pileup caller where there are no unique ID numbers involved. I'll use KP2CW as an example. A typical 5NN is sent instead. KP2CW gets logged, but has no assurance that it was the real P5CW worked or a pirate. However, KP2CW would still get the QSO before message if attempting a QSO on another band, and there is no insurance protection against pirating that call sign. For chronic out-of-turn pileup callers I refer to as bully lids and who do not follow the DX Code of Conduct, here's an example of what will be sent by the logger. Even if this sampled WZ4LID caller were to be logged, the QSO would be automatically flagged for deletion from the log at the end of the P5 expedition. That's the way it will work. The DX Code of Conduct outlines the civilized behavior expected of all pileup callers. Read it, understand it, follow it. Read it, understand it, follow it. Those who don't and all other pileup callers will hear a message like this. It is very simple. Behave like gentlemen in the pileups. Always keep the DX Code of Conduct center stage when DXing. By the way, there is a quick and simple way to know if any pre-expedition pirates are on the loose. Just below the P5CW logo on the main web page is an operational status line. It will either read in red, "Not yet on the air, beware of pirates," or in green, "On the air, hope to QSO with you." Now a quick advanced look at the K6VVA Copilot Expedition solution. The design objectives were initially to eliminate emails to pilot or copilot stations and to auto-summarize all data to substantially reduce manual labor. This expanded to include real-time expedition use of both signal reports and wish list requests during all of my expeditions where an internet connection could be facilitated. It would be almost like having an expedition pilot right in front of me. Various data views are available with a few mouse clicks, including the ability to sort and summarize data by not only primary geographic areas, but also geo-sub-areas. The current beta test list of these sub-areas for propagation analysis and planning are subject to revision before the final version is released. Data input is via a special online web form to eliminate having to deal with a deluge of individual emails and provide access anytime, anywhere. Of particular concern with all real-time signal reports and wish list requests is the geo sub-area and signal path, especially if a polar path route is involved. Those of us here on the Forgotten Coast, W6, W7, and VE7, know from experience how too many expeditions have failed to take into account limited openings and polar path considerations to our specific geo sub-area. There are three types of data submission via the online web form: signal report only, wish list only, or both signal report and wish list requests. The signal report section has drop-down lists for band, mode, signal strength and S units, QSB levels if any, and a special option in the QRM DDL to indicate any DQRM. For the expedition operator viewing the real-time data reports, a DQRM report from any particular geo area or geo sub-area can be an immediate heads-up for the need to take evasive action, perhaps a slight QSY in frequency. Especially for wish list requests, having an actual signal strength level and caller antenna type can help in on-the-spot decisions to QRX any pileup geo walls to briefly QRX for any unpredicted openings to a challenging geo sub-area. An example of how this can work will follow. The data obtained can be far more pinpoint accurate and useful than using RBN or skimmer reports, and is also meant to reduce the number of please QSY type requests made via the cluster system. The K6VVA Copilot is expedition specific and requires no traditional manual labor by pilot or copilot stations to process the data. This is the current beta version of the Expedition Operator Run View. For multi-operator expeditions, along with various data view options, geo area, geo sub-area, band, and mode selections can be made via the top sticky menu. The data history can be limited in time as well as options for refresh of the screen output. Always conscious of the challenges of polar path routes, I decided that polar path reports would be flagged in red as well as any alerts to DQRM problems. A few words about propagation, because the long-range plan is to hopefully integrate separate propagation templates based on different solar conditions into the program for real-time expedition operator use and decision-making. Right before each expedition, which will certainly be the case for P5, I do a detailed propagation analysis using multiple geoarea data points and summarize all the data into one multiband page for instant viewing by UTC hour of predicted openings. Also, very importantly, this provides a single view of overlapping geoareas for reasonable by-area QSX periods. Knowing the great difficulties for South America operators, especially the little pistol stations, to make a P5 QSO, if fortunate to obtain the high-level authority permission needed for an internet connection in P5, let's see how the K6VVA Copilot Expedition solution can be of real-time assistance. In the real-time expedition operator run view mode, the current solar conditions display in the first column, and we see the K-index has dropped to 0. While working North America during the predicted 0900 opening on 20 meters, apparently a freak opening to South America has occurred because a web form submission was made at 0915 UTC from the PY sub-area of South America and flagged in red as polar path, with a reported P5 signal level of S6, medium QSB, light QRM on 20 meters CW with a 3-element tribander via a real-time wish list request of the 0900 UTC hour on 20 meters CW. Knowing the challenges faced by South America operators, even more so than in North America, do you think a short QSX for South America only might take place? The answer is appropriately yes. There are numerous other operational benefits to be realized with the K6VVA Copilot Expedition solution. Where there is no internet connection available, the real-time auto-summarization of all data input via web form submissions can be extremely useful for a main pilot to quickly give updates to the expedition team leader via sat phone. Unlike the cluster system, and to eliminate bogus or junk submissions, both the K6VVA Anti-Pirate and K6VVA Copilot Expedition solutions utilize an email validation process.
Thanks for watching this video. I hope to provide you with a P5CW QSO sometime in the future.
The P5CW Anti-Pirate registration and advance pledge form can be accessed via a text link on the www.p5cw.com website. Registration ends on 31 January 2015 at 23:59 UTC, so don't delay. Register today.